Hi everybody. We're going to share a story today that we hope helps people who are healing from abuse, people who are healing from witnessing abuse, people who feel helpless against abuses that have been or are being perpetrated on them. There are different ways that we can use imagery and narrative and story and character to help us feel empowered. So I hope this story brings you a sense of empowerment and a sense of resolve as you think about what we might learn from this story. So we're reading from Tales of Tikasuk from Emily Ivanoff Brown. Tikasuk was her Anniqsusaiqtutin name, and her name meant a hollow place in the ground where the four winds store the treasure they gathered from all parts of the world. And Emily spent her lifetime serving as a focal point where people and ideas could find a place to get together. All right, so the story we're going to read today is Mythical Rolling Fire. Okay, this is appropriate for all ages. We will share it in a way that is trauma-informed care practices, being mindful of our language and what narrative we're sharing with the trauma. So, it's on page 36 if you have the book. There lived in a village a homeless waif who was hired by the chief as a caretaker of the Kavgi. His name was Illuperaq. Although he was a respected teenager, the ruffians of the same age made his life miserable, especially at night. In order to escape from them, he built his bedroom on the rafters of the control house. Whenever he heard them coming, he would climb up to his perch. They would call him names, scoff, and make fun of his home. After they sang and danced around, some would go home and others would climb on the roof and pound on it. Late one evening, these same ruffians gagged an orphan girl and brought her by force to the edge of a swollen river. It's very scary. They tied her to a heavy log, placed her on the ice floe, and pushed her out to the current. One of the spectators was Illuperaq, who, when he heard someone crying, went down to see who it was. When he attempted to rescue the girl, the ruffians forcibly tied him to a post. Then they laughed at him too. Although her mouth was covered, the helpless girl cried to him for help, urging Illuperaq to get her grandmother. She did not know he was also tied up. While she was drifting, the crying sounds turned to a song. Illuperaq ikayurqaq, Illuperaq help me, Illuperaq aqvaung anaka, get my grandmother, patarmek Illuperaq, quickly, ki Illuperaq, please, please. So if you wonder if those are words that are different for what we know from other dialects, I believe this was the Unnamed dialect that they're speaking from. So they're drifting away on the ice floe. The ruffians laughed at her pleading while they were following the floating iceberg as far as the outlet at the delta. They were like vicious wolves, which, after the kill, lick their chops with satisfaction at being so crafty. They went back to the Kavgi, leaving the girl on the ice floe and Illuperaq tied to the post. While the boys were in the council house, Illuperaq broke his bonds and returned there too. It was too late to get help for the girl. The north wind and tide had already taken their victim way out to sea. He felt very sad as he thought of the disobedient who were still clamoring to do some more injustice to the witness of their crime. While they were dancing around the fireplace, Illuperaq came into the Kavgi and climbed through the window onto the roof to look for the unfortunate victim out on the sea, to see if he could rescue her. She was not visible at the moment because she had turned herself into a rolling fire and was coming with all haste toward the Kavgi. He ran down the roof, went in and warned the boys, but to no avail. They only laughed at him. So he climbed up on his perch to escape from the approaching rolling fire. Just after his move, in came the rolling fire with crackling and hissing sounds of sss. It leaped upon the disobedient teenagers and devoured them all. There was not even a mitten left unburned. Illuperaq cringed at the sight of the catastrophe and felt very helpless. And this is Anniqsusaiqtutin speaking. And so, this is a story about a group of boys who refuse to accept the concepts of what is right and what is wrong, and respectful behavior, and the consequences of disrespect. So, I've done therapy work as an individual, healing from trauma, healing from sexual abuse, where I went into one of the homes I was traumatized in, and I blew it up in my head. I blew it up over and over again. And doing this helped me feel safe. It wasn't about violence. It wasn't about revenge. It was about getting rid of what was causing the pain. And I love this story about rolling fire because fire is so cleansing. Fire is so powerful and so beautiful. And I think it's beautiful that through song and through pain, which is often the case for magical things, pain, starvation, trances, not eating, that, we're able to transform into something greater. And this young other orphan girl, lots of stories about orphan people and children in her stories. And this orphan girl turned into a rolling magical fire. And I think that's what we can turn our pain into. Not to be violent on the outside, but to use stories to help us heal the inside. So I hope that was helpful for you. We do have resources on our pages, on our social media pages for support, for therapy support. We're not therapy. We provide stories and encourage you to reflect on it, write out your experiences, share them, talk through them, sing through them, walk through them, hunt out on the land, boat. So good luck in your healing journey, and we hope you'll join us on Sundays at 2 p.m. is when we're meeting right now, Alaska time, to share more stories and little by little heal together.